Welcome back to This Week on 33rd Street. Penn has lost 4 games, but we are still coming back at you, this time for the second Ivy game of the year. Penn versus also 0-4 Columbia. Penn comes in on an 8-game losing streak. Columbia one-ups them with a 15-game losing streak. So, to start off, let's just briefly, very briefly, describe the onslaught that was Fordham versus Penn.
Well, there was not very much that went right for Penn in that game against Fordham. It was miserable to start out, and Penn was facing a 21-13 deficit, actually hanging around. And then it's a succession of quick scores by Fordham quarterback Mike Nabrich, just put the game out of reach. And by the end of the day, Penn had surrendered 60 points, which is the most they've surrendered since joining the Ivy League. And to make matters worse, both Trey Solomon and Kyle Wilcox went down with injuries. Kyle Wilcox suffering a concussion, and Trey Solomon injuring his left knee. And it just doesn't look good right now for Penn. And in my column, I wrote that Columbia was essentially a bye week in powder blue uniforms, but that's a bit hyperbolic because this Penn team is entering limping, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think we're going to see a lot more of Eric Fiore at running back, and maybe a few other weird things, maybe Spencer Kolsar. But who really knows what they're going to do at running back? The one bright spot was Jimmy Gamble getting some National Special Teams Player of the Week award for 5 field goals. Shout out to the junior kicker. But Holden, what can we expect with the red and blue against the light blue?
I mean, I think for Penn, it's just going to come down to finding a way to still get some offense going. You've absolutely no running game to start things off. I mean, relying on probably a Schoonauer, I believe he's a junior, and Fiore's moving back there. I talked to Coach Bagnoli today on they're going to have to find a way to get the ball to their playmakers, but it's going to look pretty tough. And I mean, the passing game's been a bit of a question mark in some of these games with Torgerson's turnovers. I mean, for the most part, they've succeeded in moving the ball through there, but it's going to be tough against Columbia. I mean, going into the season, we didn't think this was going to be quite as evenly matched as it might end up to be.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that Penn definitely has going for it is the fact that Columbia has been even worse this year. Minimum of 32-point margin of defeat this year. Their defense has been actually much worse than Penn's defense this year. The offense has been a grade worse to the point that they're actually changing quarterbacks this week. So Ian, start us out with predictions. Who are you going with? It's a 21-point spread, but do you think it'll be quite that close?
Well, I'll tell you this game is not going to be put on ESPN Classic anytime soon. I think this game is going to be very reminiscent of the 2012 Penn home game against Columbia, when the Quakers needed to make a late tackle at the goal line to save the game and stop Columbia on a final drive. I'm going to say Penn 27, Columbia 21 in a win that will inspire not that much confidence going forward.
Okay, sounds like a very confident pick. Holden, what you got for us?
I mean, I think for Penn, it's pretty important now to get the mental break and manage to pick up a first win of the season before we get into the real hard Ivy play. I'm going to call Penn 24, Columbia 14. Pretty close one, but I think Penn's just going to take it over the top. Just slightly better in all areas compared to Columbia, and a few fewer offensive breakdowns, and they could have gotten a win earlier this season against Jacksonville.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say I'm a little bit more confident than that just because of the fact that you guys might be underrating how bad Columbia has been, and also the fact that despite Penn's struggles, they did show a little bit of offense last week against a solid Fordham defense. And I'm going to say that Penn wins this one 31-10, because I don't think Columbia can score very much. That's it for This Week on 33rd Street. Look for highlights of this weekend's game. We're going to be covering it as always with stories in the paper and online. So check us out on thedp.com. And for Holden McGinnis and Ian Lamar Wennick, I'm out.